Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. It's time to trust your intuition. This is your inner knowings. Through questions and points of conversation, I can help others feel empowered. With the ability to touch people's past lives, I help others connect and not feel alone. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995. Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Well, it's getting to that time of the year. I first of all want to wish everybody a very happy holiday, which is very quickly approaching. Have a great holiday season. I will be here next week, but of course I have my wedding on Sunday, so just think about my wedding, everybody, and I will be here Monday. Okay, we're in the studio right now with a very few people in the audience. Do you have a question?
Well, speaking about our wedding.
Oh, it's Steve, my fiance, sitting here.
You've spoken about your collective and Aldo, your guide. Have there been any messages through the collective and or Aldo that have led you to confidence that you're about to embark upon a good part of your life now?
Okay, Steve, that's a great question. And I think by where our conversation goes sometimes, we definitely feel Aldo's presence, correct? And I feel that he's really, Aldo, as for people that are maybe just tuning in for the first time, he is my guide who was here, who was on earth with me, who has since departed. But I still feel his presence very strongly. And I'm sure from what I feel, I mean, again, we cannot prove everything, of course, but I feel that he's really happy about our oncoming wedding, as you do too. We've had so much validation, especially over the last few weeks, of his presence here, and that we're doing, obviously, we're embarking on a wonderful journey, which I feel that with my spirit guides too, that Aldo is definitely helping me here to give me the messages to tell us we're on the right track. And I know that you feel the same, correct?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Okay. So, on
Sally,
that
I got a
subject,
question.
yes.
The changing of the year, does it normally mean the changing of what's happening in one's life? In other words, does it peel off like an onion and we start from the beginning with the start of the new year?
Actually, that's an interesting question, and I'm seeing the perspective from their point of view as you were asking me that, Freddie. Yes, it does, because what we think and what we believe, they are in tune with us. So when you ask that, we in the beginning of each year, we have things that we say we're going to do throughout the year. So we kind of talk to ourselves, like maybe it's losing weight or whatever it be. So they are helping us. So in answer to the question, yes, it is a new start. As the year goes on, we kind of forget what we have asked for or what we're intending to do, but it's a new beginning every year. I always, as a child even, loved New Year's Eve. Maybe that was me feeling that the next year is, I believe that we can make things happen by us thinking that it's going to happen. So when we give ourselves that time at the beginning of the year of what we want through the year, we're putting that out into the universe. So it's a new beginning for all of us, actually, absolutely, as I feel.
And does it change the perspective that we should welcome things that are new, especially if we don't like change?
I think so, because that's the messages that we are getting. So sometimes change is good. We sometimes say, I don't want to change anything, but I believe, and if everybody thinks about it, we change everything throughout the years of things that are going well, things that are not. Change is good, and I think the beginning of the year brings that change about so that we start thinking what we're going to do throughout the year. So that brings a change. It's not, we don't always change what we're doing, but we can change the way that we're doing it. It's up to us. It's all up to us. Everything is up to us.
So the change of year doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's more about how we approach it?
Absolutely, yes. It does, because we're putting forth New Year resolutions of what we want. And many, many people do that at the beginning of the year. So that's changing our perspective throughout the year of what we want. It may be a continuation of what we've been doing through the year, but we put it out more in the beginning of the year. We kind of set our goals at the beginning of the year, and that takes that vibrational energy onto its own journey, so to speak. So what we're putting out is going to come back to us. And it's a good time to do that, a very good time to do that, actually, the beginning of the year.
So if we suffer from self-confidence and the new year sort of scares you because it's, it's the unforeseeable, it's the changing over, is it a good time to begin to maybe change your perspective on your self-confidence?
Yes. If that's what, we're feeling insecure about something, let's put out that I'm going to be very secure about what I'm going to be doing, because our persona is how we feel. So if we begin to feel that more self-confidence within ourselves, that's going to portray out into the universe, and we are going to be perceived as much more secure about what we're doing. It's very good to make these intentions, very, very good. The beginning of the year is good because it reminds us that we need to put something out into the universe. Most people say, well, throughout the following year, let's use diet, for instance, because many people try to say they say they want to lose weight, and this is what they're going to eat throughout the year. They start off doing what they're putting out. We don't always continue. Continue it. The vibrational energy flows. Continue what you're doing with what you put out. Unfortunately, us as humans, we don't. We sometimes say maybe 4 or 5 months, or not even that, weeks into what we've put out, we give up. Don't give up. Give up. Don't give up. Continue doing what you want. Put it out there.
So I've always been one to say that the one thing that is consistent is that there will be change.
There will be change if that's what we want. Change. Change is good. As I had just said, change is good. It's good.
So rather than cowering in a corner, knowing the change is coming, we should embrace that change.
Absolutely, 100%. But we forget. Halfway through the change, we go back to how we were. Let's continue that change, because it will happen. We want to lose weight. Continue saying, I want to lose weight. It does not happen that week. It's a continuation of what we're doing. Keep putting it out there. It doesn't have to be the first of the year, but that's when we decided on the first of the year. So through the year, continue putting that same vibration or whatever it is out into the universe. It'll come back. It'll be good.
So people that have positive energies can actually help those that have lower frequencies?
Not all. Yes, you can help people, because we help people with the positivity by example. Again, if we're being positive and we put positivity out there, we're going to continue being positive. So maybe let's say we have someone that is of a negative nature, but they're watching us. So the more that we put positivity out, the more we're showing what we're putting out is happening, say to the partner or a friend, that it's happening. So that changes their perspective. Not always. If they're ready, they will say, you know what, I have to stop being negative. Let's be positive here. It works, but we don't always see that it works. But it does work. It does work.
So if somebody is fighting it, then it's just about having patience until they can...
Till they see it, yes. Let's say the positive people in the universe here show by example their positivity, and that rolls on to other people that are inclined to... we're all negative and positive. We can't be positive all the time. But during times of, let's say, trouble or crisis, if we can show that person that the energy is flowing, go into that positive mode, it works. We have to keep reminding ourselves, though. Even myself, I have days when I'm not all that positive, but I have to remind myself to be positive, and then I see a change. I definitely do see a change. I'm not just saying that. I do. If it's just my mood, if I'm feeling a little aggravated about something, I turn around to myself and say, be positive. My mood will change. I'm in control of that, with the help, obviously, from... we are helped.
It seems to me like the person trying to deliver the positivity is the one being tested.
Well, yes, sometimes that's true, absolutely, because the more, not everything is positive. There is a positive and a negative, but that's how we learn too. By things go wrong in my life, just like with anybody else. But as long as I can take a positive attitude, I'm testing myself. I mean, in fact, I'm testing myself to see if it works sometimes. I may not be aware of it, but I test we're on a journey. We're on a journey. And the more that we can tune into who we really are, which is love, positivity. I mean, there are people listening and they're probably saying, oh, she's so positive. No, I'm not positive all the time. I just know that I need to be. That's me. I'm not positive all the time. And as much as I'm learning to be, it helps when I am because I'm happier. So if I'm doing something that's not going right, the more I tune into it from a negative point of view, the worse it's going to get. I know that today. I've proved that to myself. So I say, let's change my feelings. Let's be positive about that. Doesn't always go the way that I want it, but at least my attitudes change towards it, and then it will work out.
So, Stanley, what would you give? What words of wisdom would you give the ones that are positive and they're trying to make a difference and they run stonewall into changes that change their opinion about staying positive? What words of encouragement can you give them?
Well, again, we are human and we have many things thrown at us. But the more that you can remain the way you are, if you have a positive attitude, we choose people into our lives that probably, I'm drawn to people that may need help. I choose to be by example, to set this feeling of everything will be okay. I mean, if someone's really low or they're suffering from depression, they don't always want to hear that, and I understand that. But as long as I keep that positivity talking to that person, there is something that will rub off from my energy onto that person that maybe not even see it right now, but it might just change their thinking slightly by example of what I'm showing them. They might say, well, I mean, I'm not perfect by any means, but if I can just show them that because of my positivity, good things came of that. If I'm not and I'm negative, more bad things can come my way. Maybe I'm just setting an example somewhere to that person. Does that kind of make sense to the question that you're asking?
It does make sense, but I think that people want to hear the positivity continues even though you get frustrated. I think that the kind words or being exposed to, you are trying, it's okay, because sometimes it's lonely when you're the only one that can see the positive things going on, no?
But that's okay, Freddie. It's okay. Because as long as we remain positive, that energy is going out into the universe. So part of that is going to, let's say, that energy towards the person that may be hurting very much. I keep saying negativity, but if you're hurting, it is a form of negativity, obviously. So part of that energy, so to speak, and it's hard to really explain that, but can attach to that person. So we're now sending positive vibrations out, as quote people say, into the universe. And if that person is feeling that, it can and hopefully will change them slightly so that they begin to see that there is sometimes reasons for what we're going through. So my message is try to be, and it's not easy, to be as positive as you can. Try.
Well, sometimes we have, and you can relate to this, a bad episode that happened this year. And as the year begins to close down, we begin to miss those that we had in our lives this year or prior years. And so you have to stay positive towards the coming year. You don't want it to overwhelm you. So the reason I'm asking is because I know a lot of people that lost a lot of friends this year. For some reason, this has been a lot of people lost, a year of the loss, a lot. How do you stay positive through that? Is the words of encouragement is what I'm asking you. How do you mentally stay positive?
It's not easy. And the hurt that I've suffered, I lost one of my best friends, which was my guide. As I say, I lost my stepmother, I lost my daughter. They've gone. I believe that, you know, with all my heart that they're here, and they're here right now listening to me. But not everybody will say that, and I understand that. But they don't want me to be unhappy. I know that, and I've had validation over the last few months from each one of the people that have passed in my life. So we can't change that. We all pass away. So, but our life is still continuing. I can never forget these people that were so important in my life, and especially my daughter, who I love and will always love, and that love is with me. But I'm sure she doesn't want me to go on and be depressed about her passing. I feel sadness, but I have her memories, so I continue with my life. It's not going to change the way or who I was. I'm still going to continue with my message just because I've had hardship, unbelievably hardship. But that's going to, if I become like, I can't change it. So I try to be upbeat most of the time, which I do. It makes me feel better. If you're negative and you're crying, you feel unhappy. So even if you change that, and I've done that, I'll put a smile on my face and I'll say, okay, I really don't feel like smiling, but as I do it, more things and good things are happening to me because I'm smiling and I'm bringing myself up a little bit.
Do you ever get, I can't say tired, is it ever hard to keep it up? Because you're trying to uplift certain people over and over again, but yet they can't figure it out for themselves.
Yes, it does get tired, because I do get tired over this, because we're energy. It's not going to stop me, but I also have to stop sometimes, because that energy that we give out, I'm giving a lot of energy out to show people the right way to be happy. But sometimes if they just don't want to listen or don't believe my message, and that's okay. I'm going on a subject that it's like up against a brick wall. I keep banging and banging against it. I'm going to get tired, and I know that. I sometimes know that I have to stop because a part of their negativity is going to come back to me. I've been told by my guide I have to protect myself. It's not going to stop me at that point. But when I feel that I'm getting drained, I have to stop. I have to stop. I know that too.
And how do you do that? How do people learn to protect their energy and to protect themselves when things get negative around them?
Well, that's also something, it's an individual choice. I know that I will, again, and I know my friend is listening, and that's okay, is inclined to be negative. Do I dislike her for that? Absolutely not. I try to help her. But I know at a certain point, I can't continue. But now that I've reached out to her many times, that she's really understanding what I'm saying, she'll actually say to me, maybe halfway through the conversation, Sally, I know I have to stop. You're making me feel better. I know that I need to feel better. But it will drain you if you continue. It's something that came over time. I did not know that in the beginning. I was talking to friends and trying to help them the best I can. But I used to get home, or I was at home, and I used to feel absolutely drained until someone pointed that out to me. It's sapping my own energy. It's not going to stop me, but I have to stop at a certain point.
Do you think there's a way to always bring light to the dark? I call it the dark side.
Yes, there is, but we've got to be aware of that, Dawn, actually, because I can't help, and the world, there is no way. Just me as a person, I can't tell everyone to be positive, but I can share my message with people. Today, I'm not more selective because the negativity of people needs my message too, but I don't want to be around too many negative people because I'm not going to help the positive people at that point. So it's hard for me to say I go into a room and I feel a lot of negativity. I will feel it. So sometimes I have to say, excuse me, and leave the room. I have to do that. I understand that. My guide, who was Aldo, for people that knew me and knew Aldo, I had my times with him that maybe we might argue. And he used to say, I cannot take this energy. And he had to, and this is with me, I have to leave the room. But today, with him saying that, to me so often, I do understand that too, because negativity draws more negativity. And I was, at that time, I'm still learning, and I hear his saying, oh, be positive, I can't eat if you're not positive. It used to annoy me, but it sunk in somewhere, and I'm feeling the same myself now. So Aldo, if you're listening somewhere, I understand what you were saying.
Tracy says, thank you, Sally. I think now people are looking introspectively to say it's time to make a change in my career, in my life. They're coming to their crossroads. What's the best way for people to actually look into themselves and say, you know, I need to make the right choice for me?
Okay, the first thing that I'm hearing, which is something probably I wouldn't normally say, is write down your goals. Write down what you want. And then when you have quiet time, really concentrate on that. I feel I'm getting a lot of help from this because it's not something that I do. So write down what you want throughout the year or how you want your year to go. Find a quiet space and just look at it and talk about it. Talk to yourself and say, this is what I want. I want to be more positive, whatever you want, however you are, where you are in your journey. And keep going over that. Maybe in the morning when you wake up, and I used to hear that because I used to be in sales and it used to drive me crazy. They would say, well, go into the sale and this is what you have to do with a smile on your face. I didn't really understand it, but today I do. So individually, write down your goals, look at them throughout the day, and you'll gradually see, and you keep that positivity, that things will begin to go the way that you want it.
You had said earlier, by putting out the energy, you can achieve anything you want to, as well as the negative. So when people start saying, I don't want this job, I don't want that, I don't want, we're bringing as much attention to that as to the positive?
Absolutely. It works both ways. And I've said this before, the universe will answer to what you ask it or how you are feeling. So if you go into, say, a job interview and say, I'm never going to go into get this job, and you see a lot of people applying for the same position, and you're sitting there and you take that attitude, I would honestly say, if you go in with that attitude, you are not going to get the job. However, if you go in and look at the people and say, I'm going to get this job no matter what, you will get it. I can't tell you for sure, but in my way, the way that I think, go in with that positivity. It doesn't matter what's going on around you. It doesn't matter who's sitting there. It's okay. Just go in with that positive attitude. Even if that is not the job for you, in my belief, I believe that there may be something better waiting for you. So if you're turned down, that showed up and something else is going to come along. When you want something also, this is something that I feel that I've learned, is be specific about the timing on what you want. If you want something, say, within the next few weeks or within the next few months, make that, say to yourself, I would like this, I want this, not would like, I want this to happen, but give a time frame on it. I want this to happen next week or within the following week. Be specific, because that's what the universe understands. There is no time on the other side. So when you give a time, in our time, they understand that it should be now. Or maybe you want it a year from now, but say when you want it.
So when bad things happen, maybe it's opening up for something better to come its way?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely. Because, and I've had that happen to me, not so much on a job interview, but when I have wanted something and it hasn't gone the way, today I see that, I'll say, well, maybe that wasn't meant to happen then, but it will happen. Because they know more than us, as far as I can tell. Again, I've said this before, I can't prove anything. I can only prove to myself when things happen, and my friends see that, so I'm proving by example. But when I want something, it just doesn't seem right. Obstacles keep coming in my way. I will now say to myself, well, maybe that wasn't the one. Something else is around the corner. And yeah, I believe that.
So Sally, the bottom line here is it's okay to feel afraid. Just don't let it stop you, correct?
Absolutely, absolutely. That's perfectly normal to feel apprehensive or afraid about something. But when with whatever you're thinking, things are just not going the right way for you, when you see what you want, you say there keeps coming obstacles in the way, I believe that's the message that we're getting. And I know people have said, well, maybe there's something else around the corner. But I truly believe that, in my belief, that if obstacles keep coming about, then change it to something else. It could still be the same scenario, but maybe that wasn't the place for that to happen. It could be somewhere else, let's say around the corner. I'm just using that as an example. That's where it was meant to happen, not necessarily the way that you saw it, because we have free will. So we put a lot of our will into something, and that's okay because they hear us. But it might not be that particular point or even that time. It might be something that's going to happen a month from now. We don't know, but just be open to that. When things keep going wrong, when you're putting something out and it's just not going right, change the perspective on that slightly.
Entering the holiday season and less than a week away from our special event, and thinking about the people we've lost in our lives, how can we, or is there a way to be sure that we can invite them spiritually into this season and into our event?
Talk to them, Steve. As you know, we both have, and we've had amazing messages. I get a lot of my messages, as you know, and you can validate that through going onto the TV. We'll hear something, or we turn on the radio and we'll hear a song that we were just talking about. We talk to our loved ones. Never stop talking to your loved ones that have passed. They hear us, and the way that they can come through to us, and for us especially, is through music and through something we'll turn on the TV or go into the internet, because they are able to do that. So never. Yes, it's a sad time for people that have lost family, as I have too, but just know that they are around us. Their love continues, and never stop talking to them. However, if someone hears you, so what? You're talking to your loved ones.
Thank you.
As you and I both know, as we both lost children.
You want to take a commercial?
Okay, yes, we'll be right back. Thank you.
A true story, Call Me Zena is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came to the U.S. in 1979. A mother of two and grandmother of four, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the third dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest in art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she's able to astral project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life's direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today.
This world, this life, this illusion. What is going on, we ask? What is happening? Why not take time and see what is happening? This world as we know it, it seems so real, and yet so far away from where we've come. Corruption, greed, anger, power, revenge. Please wake up. We can change what is around us. How, we may ask? Learn to go back to where we were. Then we will have the clues. Then we can change and go forward. Please take the time. Do not fall into the game which we have put upon ourselves. We can change. We can make a difference. We have the power, each and every one of us. Go in peace. Go with love. Go as one. Zena. You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you could always seek me out for resources. Visit artbysallybernard.com today. Now, back to the show. Hello, everyone. That was really interesting for me. I was just listening to my intro and what I have gone through. And at the commercial time, I usually don't take time to actually listen to it. When I say, and this is coming from me right now, I just feel that I want to tell my viewers this. so much of what happened to me, it's hard to sometimes when we're going through something to actually see what's happening. But here I am doing this show and I'm listening to myself for what had happened to me. And I, through the example of what's happened to me, want to spread this message so badly to people. I was just, and I still am, just an ordinary person going through this journey. But over the years now, and we're close to about 18 years, I see how I've continued this journey with absolute hope and understanding more and more every day of what's really going on. It's not easy. I had to kind of surrender. I suddenly became an artist from not knowing anything about art, nothing, and I'm drawing. Because I was admitted to hospital overnight, I came out a different person, totally different person. I did not know it. It was over the years that things started to happen to me. But I began to take notice of what was happening to me. And I feel very strongly that I need to talk about this because there are people listening today that can't sometimes explain certain things to themselves. But I began to listen, and I noticed one of my poetries that I have in my book just came to me the same as my art. Take time and listen. Listen to yourself. Listen to your dreams. There are messages in those dreams. And today, my life has taken such a different turn. I mean, I'm getting married. I am not that young anymore. But I somewhere had put out somewhere that I wanted to meet somebody. And then Steve came into my life who is perfect for me. So it's not just, it's things that are happening that are so positive today. I suffered, and I don't mind talking about it at all, from depression as a child. But my life took a turn. And I was in my middle ages. I won't give numbers because it's just a number. That I suddenly turned my whole life completely around. So it's not just me. This can happen to any one of us. And I talk a lot, which I just did on the show, about being positive. There were many times that I could have fallen into negativity. I came from England. I came over here to America. I didn't know. I lived from day to day. But something inside of me said, have a smile on your face. I didn't know by having that smile that I would attract people in my life that were positive, but I did that. So having said all this, we'll get on with questions that you have, but I just wanted to let you know that this did not happen for many, many years. It happened in my middle age, but my life has taken such a turn for the better today. I could never be happier than I am now. So having said all that, please give me some questions.
Sally, people are writing, and Cece wrote in. He just moved. He wanted to know if you see anything for him, and he'd like some good vibes or any feelings or thoughts that you might have.
Hi, Cece. I'm so happy that you've tuned in. Yes, and you know that the messages that I was giving you, you are going to do fantastic. And I feel that you're beginning to see that now on your journey. Yes, we have things in our life, personal things, and I understand that too. We don't neglect family, but you are definitely, you're on the right track. I feel that. I said that to you from day one. I wish you every success, Cece, and I can't wait to see you again in the studio. Do we have enough?
Sally, people are writing in to us asking, is next year going to be a good year? And I sort of asked you that, and you said that it has to be asked by specific people. What do you feel the whole year is going to be like?
Well, I mean, it's not realistic to tell everybody to walk around, be positive, when we can change the energies in the universe. But as an individual, each one of us, if we put that out for whatever we want, we can make a change. And it's not realistic to say that everyone is going to be that way, but let's try. Let's all pull together. There are things that happen in the news that are horrendous, and we know that. But why draw more attention to it? Let's walk around wishing, we say have a great day to people. Do we really mean or really care how their day is going? It's just a saying. But let's try to see, well, let's see what they say. Have a great day, and they'll say my day isn't going correct. Be honest about it. Maybe we can change that. We have to change. Each and every one of us needs to make a change on how we think. Don't pull in all these things that are happening, the wars, the horrific things. We have to listen to it because it's in the news. We can't escape that. But let's try and put a positive, we can't put positivity on war, but let's say that hopefully people will change. It won't go on like this. I think we really need to do this, especially at this time.
If we put positivity on everything, now as we go through life and different life events happen, people are fearful of passing and fearful of death, and their energy is negative. It permeates. Do you have any advice for people who are ill and just trying to get through the next couple days?
Not easy. Unfortunately, there is a lot of illness, sickness with all these things that are going on, and now it's the flu again and the pandemic. We can't change that. This is part of our living. We're all going to pass away. I truly believe, with what I know, that that is not the end. So maybe even beginning to think that, well, when we pass, if we see a loved one, as I did with my daughter, I tried to convey to her, and she knew, I believe she knew my thinking, that I even told her it was all right to go. It was sadness. We're all here and we're sad. But just in my belief, we live on. This is just a journey that we're on. So if we can try to understand that, we're all going to pass. It just depends what age we are. And it's sadness. We can't take that away. But let's try to look at it slightly differently. It's not the end of a journey. In some ways, people say it's the beginning of another journey. And I believe, as my viewers probably know by now, I believe in reincarnation. We come back. So let's, even in sadness, there is hope. There is change. We just go to a different, in my view, we go to a different dimension. We're still here. Our energy, as far as I believe, never, ever dies. We never die. I actually once went to a seminar before I understood all this. And if people or my viewers know of Brian Weiss, he started up many years ago before any of this happened. He opened up a tremendous audience he had, and his first words talking to this audience, and I'd never heard that before, he said, "We never die." But that had such an effect on me. And I think that's when I actually started my journey. I didn't understand it at that point. I was young. But those words went very deep into my psyche, and I began to try to understand it. And today, as best I can, I do understand that.
That our energy lives on?
Our energy never passes, it never dies. No, we are energy. It just goes into different, as we say, different dimensions. And what I learned from my guide here, yes. And the more, again, I'm going into this positive, but the more we raise our vibrational energy, we are raising our vibration. So we're actually going into more pleasant things. We call this the 3D. There's a 4D and 5D right now that we're going through. So you cannot enter, as far as I know, and I don't expect everybody to believe this, and I understand that. You cannot enter the fourth or fifth vibration with a lower energy. You have to be on a slightly higher energy, as far as I see it anyway. So ultimately, and I can't tell you after all the dimensions what happens because I don't know, but we are raising our energies.
So with all the negative energy around us, with people still wallowing in the pandemic, both mentally and some physically, would you say to them, don't wait till tomorrow to live your life today?
Absolutely. And I used to hear, and I'm mentioning certain people, if anyone knows of Eckhart Tolle, who always talked about the now. To me, it makes so much sense. You cannot, we've all had things happen in our lives, but the more we think about what's happened, we're bringing that into our now, Steve. So the answer, as far as I see it, is why do we want to bring all the negativity of something that happened, which is not now, but we're bringing that in? It then keeps its energy into our now as it is. So we're now bringing it further into our lives, and I'm not saying the same thing will happen, but we've now got a negativity in our now. We need to have a positivity. We only have, and we hear this, we only have now. So let's make our now positive so that our next now will be more positive.
You're here.
That's right. I mean, we all do it. It's just understanding it, and maybe then we can change a little bit. Do I do it? Yes, I do it. I'm talking this way, but it's not always this way. But I'm able, at least I know now, I have the awareness of what's happening, and I'm going, maybe something bad happened to me 30 years ago. Why do I want to think about it and bring it into what, I can't change what happened. I can change what's happening now. And even though that happened to me, that's part of whatever it is that happened to me, I don't want to continually bring it into my life.
And what are you most looking forward to in the coming year?
Well, let's just go week by week. Next week we're getting married, Steve, so I'm looking forward to that. I did not think that would happen, but it did, and that's wonderful. So the next few years after that, I'm hoping maybe that we'll continue our journey together now, because you're understanding and seeing so much happening now to yourself. So I want to spread this as best I can out to people that want to listen. I would like to go on a stage and talk about this. Here is beautiful, and I'm helping people hopefully within the studio and our callers. But I feel my mission is to go out and spread this a little more too. Absolutely. With your help too. You came into my life for a reason. You didn't see it, but you know now a little bit
I
more.
certainly do know now.
Hi, Sally.
Hi, Josh.
I'm sorry I came in a little late.
That's okay. We missed you.
I missed you too. I don't know if you feel anything or one thing that maybe I can work on for next year, or maybe you see something in the future, something.
Okay, I feel, and I think I said this to you before, but I don't always remember the messages that I gave you, that you're on the right track, Josh, absolutely. With music, with more, which is perfect here for you.
Oh, yeah.
With the entertainment, with voicing, expressions. Follow your gut, because you're definitely getting the right messages. I feel that very strongly. Mm-hmm. Continue to have this positive attitude, which I feel is changing, and you are getting more positive. I'm feeling that from you now, because you're seeing things are working out for you. And that's what we were talking about a little just now. So continue with that. And I see good. I know I say this to people, but I'm not going to say it to everybody. And when I say it, I mean it with the person that I'm talking to. I really see good. I see you pursuing in your career. Awesome. You have that, I'm going to use the word persona about you, and you are going to succeed. And this is perfect. Where you are right now is absolutely perfect for you.
Awesome, thank you. And then I have those voices in my head, and sometimes they come at the right time to say this or to say this based on whatever's happening. Like, for instance, we were at a football game yesterday, and I was like, oh, they should do this play. Like, that's what was going on in my head. I didn't want to say it because I thought it was just kind of silly. Literally the next play, same thing exact happened, and they scored a touchdown off of it. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to act upon these. I guess they're intrusive thoughts. I don't know what they are, but I don't know how to act upon these.
Okay, you're actually, and I see the same thing happening with Steve now too. He could relate to what you're saying. These thoughts are how do I do this? It's only, I hear. It's hard to explain. It's like a form of telepathy. I'm coming out with what I'm hearing, but I feel that it's coming from somewhere else. So it's not unlike what's happening to you and also to you, Steve, which you're now seeing. We kind of read each other's thoughts here. So if you hear something, listen to it. It's a message for you, no matter where you are, what it is. You're hearing. Mm-hmm. Your life is going the right direction, and you're getting help from that, Josh. So listen to it.
Awesome.
It's
Thank
good.
you. Yeah, because that's when, like, in group situations, I like to be shy. I like to be quiet, and I like to wait for that thought to come in my head to start up a conversation in the right path, I guess, or in the right direction.
My answer to that is perfect. It's perfect.
Okay.
Because you're getting the messages. It's hard to describe it, but it comes through for me, and it may be different for everybody, but for me it comes the same way as you're saying, actually, as a thought.
Yep.
And it's like, I need to voice that. Mm. And if you voice it, that thought is now going out into the universe. So that's a good sign. Very
Awesome.
good.
All right.
Yes. In the past, if you told somebody that you had voices in your head, they would
I'd
ask
be
you
in a-
to seek psychological help.
I'd be in a special hospital probably.
Yeah.
On the right
today
side
I
of that.
agree with Sally. Listen to those thoughts and go with them.
Awesome.
Absolutely. What's the worst thing that can happen? You're not going to necessarily, in this time of age, you're not going to cart you away.
Yeah.
But you voice it if you feel it. Or even if you don't voice it, just be aware of what it is, and then you'll see the validation. Usually comes with validation when you get that thought.
Awesome. Sweet. All right, I'm going to go eat real quick. I'll be right back, Sally, I
Okay.
promise.
So the voices in your head, we all have them.
Absolutely.
It's becoming more aware of them.
Well, the more, I think they try to give us, and I can see this with what's happening with Steve, they try to give us, they give us the messages, but they also give us the validation of that message. So when you get a thought or something that, and I've seen this, and you know this, Steve, it has many times, I might say something, and Steve will say to me, but I was just thinking about that, or vice versa, but it goes one step further. We'll then see that thing, we'll see whatever it is on the TV, or we'll turn on a radio, and exactly what we were thinking will be a song relating to that. So I truly believe that when this happens, they give us validation right away because they now know we're open to it. So they validate because we like that through the validation. And it's happened many times, as you can, Steve, you can tell them. It's
Right, and
happened
it's so
many-
important what you just said about being open to it.
Well, yes, of course.
Because
But,
it-
if someone is closed-minded, I have to let that go. But it's a shame because they're missing out. They're trying to help us. That's what they're doing for us. And you've seen that.
Yes.
Sally, how do we find our higher calling? Our highest calling?
Okay. I think, again, we begin to get validated. We each and every one of us has a different higher calling. I know, and I can only talk personally through myself, that I knew that through Aldo actually telling me that he wanted me to be his voice, and it's only really that I've started to do this in a bigger way after his passing. But I had all these things. I have done workshops, and I felt, but not in front, just with an audience there. I felt content doing what I was doing. We will be led to what we're doing if we keep that open-mindedness. Mine was to pass this word on, but everybody's is a different higher calling. It's what they feel that they may, what you may want to do. Go for it. My answer, and they're telling me very strongly, whatever your higher calling is, you'll feel it. Try it. What's the worst thing that can happen? You didn't try is the worst thing. The thing to do is try it. And if it's for you, you'll find that it'll all fall into place. Not always. You may have to keep trying, but keep an open mind. And again, I have to keep on about this positivity. Be positive about it.
Why do you think when you went into the hospital for one day, you found a different version of yourself?
Because I was ready, Dawn, and that's a lovely question. And one day, if we maybe do an interview on that, I didn't know it at the time, but I also knew that the people that I'm going to use Aldo showed up in my life directly after that happened. He was here. This is my guide who passed, but he was with me for 18 years. I did not know him till the day I had seen him, but we'd never spoken to the day that I came out of hospital and I started to astral project. He was waiting for me. If that never happened to me, I would never have known he was my guide. I've had too much validation for myself personally not to believe this. Oh my gosh, I became a different person and he was suddenly there to help me with that.
So does that resonate that you feel you have it, back to the calling, a different calling after the hospital than before?
Yes, absolutely, because I was different in many ways. My art was like a couple of days after I came out of hospital. I'm painting. But most of all, my validation was through, which I knew nothing about, was through astral projecting. For people that may not know that, I had the sensation of flying around the universe and actually to other planets. Talk about feeling that you were crazy. I thought I was totally crazy and they were about to pick me up somewhere. But because Aldo was here to explain it and then show me that this has happened to other people, I didn't feel that different now. I knew that I had some sort of a calling because they're showing me art to paint from lifetimes ago to go to different planets, but I wasn't alone. There are people out there, there are TV shows that will show you that people had done that. I hadn't watched it, so I was a little scared, but it didn't stop. So anybody that experiences anything of this, tell you, do your research on that. You are not alone.
Sally, I want to ask you questions for people that have children, young children below the age of 9. What kind of guidance can a parent give their children?
Okay, I love that question because it's so often overlooked, Freddie. Children have a sense that there is something more, because they'll have like an imaginary friend, or they'll come up with, which now there are many cases of children saying, you weren't my mummy, and you weren't my mummy in my last time I saw you, which was from a previous life. The main thing that I can give people at this point is listen to your children. Don't be so quick to say, stop talking that way. Try to listen, because they are trying to tell us something, because they haven't been, so to speak, brainwashed from the world yet. They're still remembering. There are many cases of this happening, and they're talking to an imaginary friend. I believe that imaginary friend isn't necessarily imagined. They're talking to them. I remember my granddaughter, who hopefully will be on my show next week, and I don't know if she's going to hear this, but when she used to come to visit me from Rhode Island and she was little, she always brought her imaginary friend. I really, at that point, was not into this as much as I am today, but I listened to her and I said, well, what is your imaginary friend talking about? Because she used to take her everywhere with her. So listen. They're giving us messages.
I think that's a good point for single parents. Parents have become single, divorced parents. Not to forget that life also has to deal with those younger than you that you take care of.
Yeah, and especially with children, because they're still naive. You know, unfortunately, we're so controlled by people saying, don't think that way. That if a child is talking to someone that we can't see, that they have to be crazy. Stop it. No, just listen. Please listen to you. Not every child does this, but for the ones that do, and I call it a gift, that are able to do that. Even with reincarnation, they remember. There are many cases now documented, because it's much more acceptable than it was many, many years ago, of them even remembering. I was just listening to something the other day of a child that was saying, they were drawing about an aeroplane and it crashed. And it was like during the war. This child knew nothing in this life, and yet they could remember the plane crashing and the details and the names. They've proven that too. Please listen to your children.
So you think these past experiences that maybe haunt us in this lifetime, I can't say, the experiences that haunt us in this lifetime come from past experiences in prior lifetimes?
Well, not every one, but yes, certain things, especially if a child is speaking to their mother and saying, but you weren't my mother in another life. Well, they don't say necessarily another life, but the remembrance of their mother from another life. How does a child actually give all the details and names, when they don't know anything about that, of things, of people from another life, because they haven't done the research? They sometimes can't even read, but someone else will. So it's not always from other lifetimes, because we're learning, we're on a journey. Each of us are on an individual journey. So what we're learning is what we've chosen to remember from other lives, or we're setting something up, or from karma, which may not always come through in this particular life. It may carry on to the next life. But I truly believe that we're just on a journey, and we're trying to, that's why we have karma, to carry on and be with our loved ones, not in every lifetime, but we bring the same people through. We have groups of soul families that we bring through, and I think everybody in this room can relate to what I'm saying, that I truly believe that we've all met each other before. It's just a feeling, but it carries on into other lifetimes. It may skip a lifetime or two, but we stay with our, what we call soul families. New people can show up. but we basically stay together on this journey. It's a journey.
And you know you were royalty in a prior lifetime. Coming forward into this lifetime, do you carry that same nobility with you?
I carry what I need, Dawn, and actually thank you for bringing that up, because I don't necessarily always like to talk about that, but I do, because you saw part of that, you saw me. So I bring through what is taken from that life, and Aldo, my guide, knew me from that life, what I need in this life. He told me that from that lifetime, I knew everything I'm talking about now. I came in a couple of times after that life because I'd had enough of all that. So what I had learned from that life and previous lives before that was dormant in other lifetimes. What happened in this life, because I can't explain how I'm able to do this, I just can, was left over from a lifetime from four or five lifetimes ago. He told me I had this knowledge then. But it never leaves you, but I chose it not to reappear in my last few lifetimes. Again, I'm going to say, can I prove this? No, I can't. But to myself, how in the world, with no studying, has all this come back to me? Aldo was my guide and he taught me, but I don't think I had to have understood what he was telling me. Otherwise, I couldn't have understood it at all. So for me personally, I totally believe in this. Absolutely.
What was amazing with regard to that, we recently watched a show, a fictionalized version of who you might have been. And as I often say the lines of a movie before they happen, and you were saying the lines that this person would say as if you knew exactly what they were going to say because it was you.
Because I had that personality. They portrayed her personality the way it was. How in the world could I know what is only scripted, and it may not necessarily be what history has presented it to be, but they had portrayed her personality, which I still have. I have many traits of what that lady had. I'm not really ready to say who I was, but yes, absolutely. I mean, I don't mind telling people, but it's hard. It's very difficult to believe or know that you were someone else in a different lifetime. But I've accepted it today, and I know one of many. That was just one character I played.
Sally,
Okay.
isn't the adventure not knowing what's going to happen tomorrow, but knowing that whatever happens tomorrow gets to help other people's lives, touch other people's lives, including your own, because it's set on a positive note?
Yes, I believe that's very is important, not impossible. That's why I'm starting this journey. As far as I know, I'm going to do this till I pass, because it's very important. It's not about ego. Oh, listen to Sally, she's great. It's about me giving my message to people, because even if I help, I don't know how many people are listening today, but if one or two people can just relate to some of the things that have happened to me, and it may be happening to them, it's important. That's how we spread this message. And what better way to do it, the way that I've chosen now to do this, to talk to the public. And, you know, we have the internet that can go to the world, which is amazing. Spread your message on. If you have anything that you feel that you want to ask me, I'm there. Just go into, you can go into my website, or you can call into the studio. Please ask me questions. I'm here to answer. Thank you. Let me just give that number out. It's at the Brooklyn Cafe, 888-994-9445. Please, and Studio A, please share this with people, because this is a good way to be able to help people. Share this with my video that's coming out now. Just share it with people, and hopefully all together we can help this world. Have to start somewhere. Thank you. Have a great week. Thank you. Hi, I'm Sally. Please tune into my show on Monday at 3 o'clock, Call Me Zena. If you have any questions regarding your loved ones over the holidays, I would love to answer them for you. 888-994-4995. Coincidence or not, it's time to trust your intuition and knowings. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery and awakening with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book, artwork, and contact through artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week. This has been